up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks podcast. Today's episode, we've been breaking down the past 10 MVP seasons. I get to talk about Aaron Rodgers a lot in this episode because, of course, he's got the most in the past 10 years. But this is a fun episode. Let's break down the seasons, rank them. Let's get into it.
All right, Hammer. So
you ladies first. You can start it off. Go for it.
So we'll start it off. Last week we did Super Bowl episodes. We kind of did like a 3-second timer, and then both said the same at the same time. But I think this week we just go each of us one by one and start it off. So at number 10, I got this past season, 2023, Lamar Jackson, his MVP season is the worst in the last 10 years. And the reasoning here for me is we look at it like, yeah, this is a dual threat quarterback, but his dual threat was only 800 rushing yards is good, but I think it was 5 rushing touchdowns. So that's like 5 rushing touchdowns, a dual threat quarterback. That's not really what you need. I mean, Josh Allen had 15, something like that on top of like 40 passing touchdowns. He had more than 40 total. Whereas Lamar Jackson only had 24 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. So I don't know. That just doesn't scream MVP season to me, especially when Christian McCaffrey did what he did this past season and was just dominating. So I don't know. I think it was an upsetting choice of MVP for me.
I get it. I mean, we talked about it when it happens. It's just, the Ravens were the best team in football during the regular season, especially getting that big time win. I think it was Christmas Day, the night game against San Fran, and they, whooped them.
Yeah.
And they were best team in football. Lamar was good. It wasn't great. The numbers don't blow you away, but how can you give it to a guy like Josh Allen whose team struggled and he turns the football, over
a lot
more. So that's going to play into.
Yeah, no, and I don't mind that being brought up. I think realistically it should have been Christian McCaffrey. Dak was in discussions for a long time. We talked about that and during the season, but that kind of fell apart towards the end. I don't know. I just think Lamar Jackson's defense was also a big reason why they were as good as they were.
And also say this about the rushing touchdowns. I think they were down because I think the Ravens wanted to keep him up more because they needed him healthy for the playoffs. So that was definitely, an impact there and why he only had 5. And I thought he, put up pretty good numbers for the supporting cast he had. Mark Andrews goes down, who's a top 3-4 tight end in this league. Rookie Zay Flowers, you had Odell a little bit, you had Bateman, who's so I mean, he did do a lot with not a lot of talent around him.
It was better than his 2019 surrounding cast at receiver.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I don't know, but anyways, Hammer, who do you have number 10?
Number 10, I got same thing, Lamar. Okay. 2023. So
there we go. So that's so both of us, number 10, Lamar Jackson, 2023 season. At number 9, I got Cam Newton, 2015. And
no
hear me out.
That's low.
Hear me out.
That's
35
low, man.
touchdowns. 10. A lot of people are going to see the wins and think like, obviously, he should have been higher. I'm not a huge I already just said Josh Allen was more deserving of an MVP than Lamar Jackson this past season, but 15-1, obviously at 35 touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, so 45 total. That might get you debatably above the next couple guys on my list. But after 6, the last 4 aren't comparable. So I think it was kind of a toss up between these next 3 guys for me. So Hammer, who was your number 9?
For me, I think that's crazy to have Cam's 2015 at number 9. He's up on my list. For number 9, I got 2016 Matt Ryan. Was a good year, right? Falcons made it to the Super Bowl this year and of course blew the 28-3 lead. But this is when Julio was in his prime, so it definitely helped him put up those numbers. And he's got good numbers. Don't get it twisted. What is it? It's 38 touchdowns.
Almost
right?
5,000 yards.
Yeah, almost 5,000 yards. It's a good season. I think, and I'll just gonna say it, I think someone who got robbed this year was Aaron Rodgers of MVP. And that's because, who was I saying it before? Because Josh Allen Buffalo kind of had a down year, weird year. Of course they picked it up at the end and got into the playoffs, but that was really similar to the 2016 Packers. That was a struggling team, and Rodgers had an awesome year, 40 touchdowns, 7 picks, but it wasn't all good, the whole season long. And of course, in the regular season, Aaron Rodgers lost that head-to-head matchup with Matt Ryan, so I think that played a factor. But I'm just going to say that I think Aaron got robbed that year. But yeah, 2016 Matt Ryan, it's a really good year, but just like why Lamar won it this year. I don't think anyone really blew you away that year. And, Falcons were probably the number one offense that year. So
that's it. So I wrote down the record. The record was 11-5 that year, which is surprising as
crazy.
Well, because if you look at that now, like if an MVP won with an 11-5 season now,
no,
like that would be like shamed. It would be like shamed, frowned upon. It wouldn't happen. So it was a surprising thing back in 2016 when it happened. But like you said, Aaron Rodgers was right there, just lost the head-to-head, so it probably cost him that as well. So that he's going to be closer for me. He's like one of the. I said there was 3 toss-up, 7, 8, 9. He's within that group. So number 8 is going to be Tom Brady's season in 2017, where he had a solid season. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't anything crazy. He had 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 8 picks, 13-3, which is, again, solid season. Tom Brady was still I would say he was still in the higher point of his career at that point of time. So it was a solid season, but nothing crazy like the next few guys.
So number 8 for me is 2014 Rodgers. He's a little low for me on my list. And I just said it because, you know what? He's on this list 2 more times. Mm-hmm. And out of the 3 years, 2014 was definitely, not as good as 2020 and 2021. The Rodgers had a really good supporting cast this year. Jordan Ellis was a Pro Bowler. Randall Cobb was a Pro Bowler. Devontae was a rookie. You had Eddie Lacy in the backfield. Awesome, really good year. Doesn't turn the football over as usual. Only 5 picks, 38 touchdowns, 12-4 record. I'm gonna put him at 8, and people are gonna be like, that's a little crazy. I think you should be a little higher up. But like to me, that's kind of like the standard of Rodgers, like that kind of record and those numbers. So I'm gonna put it at 8 because I know he's capable of better, as we've seen in 2020 and 2021.
I don't mind that. I don't mind it. But I think it's like a little low. Anyways,
you know what? I'm happy you got the MVP and everything, but 2014, I think JJ Watt should have won that year. He was unbelievable. He came in second. He was the sack leader. He was
how many did he have?
I don't know. You got to look it up. But he was on offense at tight end, getting reps, catching touchdowns. Like he did everything that year. Like as a defensive player, the numbers he put up, the impact he made for that Texans team on the defense and offense side of the ball was just unbelievable. Like that was the first time for me watching a defensive player really take over a game like that.
Yeah.
So take over like a season like that. So that's why Rodgers is a little bit lower on this list for me.
So here's why JJ Watt didn't win it. I believe he was second in sacks that year. What's his name? Houston. What is it? Not James Houston. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Clowney?
No, Houston. His last name is Houston. I'm blanking on his name though, because he wasn't like a crazy player for a long span of time, but he had a few good seasons. He had 22 sacks. JJ Watt had 20 and a half. So that's going to be why he didn't win it. But yeah, I like the call out with JJ Watt there. That's not bad because, again, he was the lifeblood of the Texans at that point in time, catching offensive touchdowns, doing it all. So,
James Houston, you mean?
Oh, I did say James. Okay, I said James, but I just felt for some reason it didn't roll off the tongue right. Something. But yeah, so JJ Watt didn't win that season probably.
No, is it James Houston? James Houston? He played for the Chiefs, right? I'm not blanking on his first name. That's his
what
name,
I'm
though,
saying.
right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm like, it doesn't roll off the tongue right or something. Yeah.
I'm looking up James Houston, and it's like this bot from Detroit coming up. It's James Houston, right?
I'm almost 90%. Justin Houston.
Justin? It was Justin.
Justin Houston. That sounds a little bit right.
Yeah, that does.
I don't know. I couldn't. I couldn't think of the first name off the top of my
Yeah,
head
it was Justin. Yeah.
because he had some solid seasons, but I don't think he was like
James Houston. Justin Houston was a really good
he was
player.
a 4-time Pro Bowler, 4 times.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Not like nothing generational, but
Yeah.
definitely really good.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got way off track there. My fault for not remembering his name. I don't mind the take with Aaron Rodgers, things like that, but I think he's just a little bit low. So number 7 for me is that Matt Ryan season that you mentioned just a little bit ago. So I had him like 2 spots higher, whatever. 7, 8, 9. Again, toss up. Who is your number 7?
So my number 7 was 2017 Tom Brady.
Okay.
This dude won the MVP at 40 years old. Like that just was never done at that time. Like that was pretty remarkable. That was unbelievable. It was a year after the greatest comeback of all time. So it was really like I just remember the vibe. It was like Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Like in that, year, that was just like he was everywhere. So that's why I have him a little bit above. I think winning an MVP at 40 years old his numbers don't blow you away, 32 touchdowns, 8 picks, but like I put that over Matt Ryan and I'll put it over like a younger Aaron Rodgers in 2014.
I think putting it above Aaron is a little nuts.
It's not numbers wise. It's just like, you know what? He went 13-3, a little bit of record by 1 game. It doesn't really matter that much, but
yeah,
just the age to me. That's
quickly. I just want to tell the people watching this. So Hammer takes into account. He likes kind of paying attention to more of like supporting cast, age. I want to say like environmental factors.
Yeah, and like I just remember back to like those years and like the vibe, like that. I'm going to talk about it a little later. That 2015 year with Cam Newton. I remember I was in 8th grade. Yeah, and that was just like an unbelievable time. Like you're a little kid watching football. Everyone, no matter who you liked, like all my buddies, we all got Cam Newton jerseys for Christmas. I was but he was just sick. He was everywhere. He was doing everything. So like
I
take that into account
as a Saints fan though.
Yeah,
so it's like kind of like I had to, but I see what you're saying. So my number 6 is 2014 Aaron Rodgers. So obviously he's a little bit higher than yours. I don't know. I think
I could totally go that way too. That's fine. For me, I'm just be like, you know what? Tom Brady did something that we never really saw.
Yeah. I mean, he had 38 touchdowns and only 5 picks. So I was like, I got to put him up there. I just had to. So I think obviously we're a little bit flipped around, but not too badly. Who is your number 6, Hammer?
My number 6 is 2022 Patrick Mahomes. 2 years ago, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks, 4 rushing touchdowns. So we had 45 in total. 5,250 yards passing. That's a lot.
Hammer, what are you doing, bro? Number 6? Number 6.
Yeah.
That's
well, insane. 2018 year, his first year winning MVP was better. And I think, and this, I don't know what 6 is a bad spot. I'm looking at my list. I'm like, that's a pretty good list.
Okay. I was a little bit shocked there. I'm sorry. I
read Cam Newton at last or 9 or whatever.
Number 9.
That was
number
terrible.
9. Number 9. Anyways, I don't know. Number 6 for Patrick Mahomes throwing 5,000, almost 5,300 yards is nuts. So that's just me. Number 5. I got Aaron Rodgers.
Grayson is a big yards guy. That's like that's what he lives by. Oh my God! Look at the yards that guy had.
Yards and touchdowns.
I'm just like, I look at the touchdowns and picks
matter for yards, man.
Not really,
dude. I mean, Josh Allen's like
Josh Allen and Drew Brees.
Listen, you talk about like picks, right? But if a guy accounts for 50 plus touchdowns or like more than I forgot the percentage, but he was like more than 75% of the team's touchdowns. That's more important than having these picks that like he makes up for.
That's what I'm saying. Touchdowns and picks. You're talking about yards. What does yards have to do with anything?
Everything for a quarterback. Like if he's going for a lot of yards, it means he's doing something right.
Not really. It means your team's losing, or you got really good skill players who can make people miss.
Or you're just smart with the football. Like Aaron
No,
Rodgers did a lot of yards
that's
sometimes too, and I'm not
being
gonna.
smart with the football is more like not throwing picks and completion percentage, not yards.
Yeah, but if we brought up
Throwing a
completion
screen doesn't
percentage,
make you a pretty
if
smart
we start
guy.
bringing up completion percentage, then I'd bring up Drew Brees, the greatest completions percentage
You
quarterback
just
of all
said
time.
before we got
But
on,
I'm
we
not
just talking
going
about
to.
completion. You said it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I don't really care
Oh, so
about
it
it that
doesn't
much.
matter. Okay, so you can't use that when
brought
we're
it
talking
back
about
up.
Drew Brees then anymore.
I'm just
You
saying
can't use that.
you brought it up. You were the one who just brought it up, not me. I wasn't talking about it. Anyways, number 5, Aaron Rodgers, 2021 season. 13-3, 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, only 4 picks, which is nuts. And I tell Hammer that all the time. Like, accuracy is 2 things to me. 2 things in accuracy is like intelligence is one side of it, right? And Aaron Rodgers knows when to throw the ball and where to put it, right? And then there's accuracy where it comes into like putting the ball where no one else can get it, and that's where I talk about Drew Brees. That's kind of my 2 sides. Drew could put the
You
ball.
acting like Aaron can't do that too. Aaron
Not
put the
as well as
ball in
Drew.
stupid spots. Like,
Yeah, and Drew did it better. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
what's your argument there? How do you do it better? Because it's not throwing picks. Because you got through more picks than my guy.
I'm talking about he could put it in a spot where no one else could get it. Over
But you
the
could say the
shoulder.
same thing about Rodgers, Brady, and Mahomes. Like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
but I'm saying Drew did it better. That's what I'm
How?
saying.
How do you do it better? How?
He watches the highlights.
What's the evidence? What's the proof?
The highlights, the film.
The
Hammer.
highlights,
Watch
guys. The
film.
highlights.
Okay,
Go watch
any
my
film,
quarterback in
any
high
Drew
school in the
Brees
highlights.
film,
Look at the ball placement. It's a dumb argument.
any Drew Brees film, right there. And complete. If you want to
You
talk
could
about
do that
accuracy,
with any
it didn't bring
quarterback,
up.
though. Go watch Rodgers' film. You think it's all outside the pocket. He's standing in the pocket, throwing balls that no one else on earth could throw.
Drew was regarded as the accuracy guy. That's what he's known for. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I'm so, like, obviously, yes, Aaron Rodgers can also do it, but Drew Brees is known for that. That is what he is known for. You make any throw on the field at any point in time,
Yikes.
Like, that's
what you're known for. Okay.
I mean, he also leads or is second in every single passing category in the league. So in history. But yes, Hammer.
This team was losing a lot.
If all of that means nothing to you,
I know your guy's not on this list at all.
I don't know. Yeah, he's not, because every single quarterback or player on this list had a career season. When Drew.
So your number 5 is 21 Rodgers. I have the same thing. I agree. 21 Rodgers.
Good spot for him.
Only throws 5 picks. He's 2021. He's like 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an unbelievable year, and it's only 5 on this list.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So,
but you know what? I'll say one thing about this year too. He wasn't even. I remember this year, and it wasn't like you look at the numbers and you're like, "Oh my God, that's an MVP! Like that's a runaway." It really wasn't a runaway this season. I forget who was up there, but like it was one of those years where it was like no one's that crazy. So I guess you got to give it to Rodgers because hey, he's got the number 1 seed, and look at the numbers he put up. But like, it wasn't like the year he had before. It wasn't like it wasn't like crazy, which speaks like how. Rodgers is just supposed to have those seasons like that.
You could argue, depending, I don't remember Tom Brady's record this season, but Tom Brady came in second that year below Rodgers in 2021. And Tom Brady had 1,200 more yards, 6 more touchdowns, but 8 more picks. So again, that's kind of like that same discussion we already had.
And the thing too, Brady was
the Bucks.
And Brady was a wild card that year too. That's why too. I heard him.
Yeah, but that's kind of like that's where it's a little bit of that. What are you basing your vote on? Right? Is touchdowns, picks, rate.
But that's why for me the record is important in this too, because MVP, you're the most valuable player. You're the reason why your team's winning, succeeding like this. It's not all about the numbers. That's probably why 2016 Rodgers didn't win. Because he was 10-6 that year. But I'm just saying that matters.
What was Aaron Rodgers' record in 2021? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, 13-4.
Yeah, Tom Brady got robbed, dude. Because Tom Brady had the same exact 2021, 13-4. That's kind of robbery, Hammer. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not.
Why would Brady do that year?
I just said he had 1,200 more yards and 8 more touchdowns. Or wait, no, 8 more picks. 8 more picks. And how many more touchdowns? I just had it. I lost it. It was more touchdowns.
What was his record? That's what I just said, though.
Same record.
He was 13-4.
Yeah, 13-4. Same.
But
record.
what were the Saints that year then?
I think we might have been 13-3. No, you throw me off. We were right around there. In 2020. Oh wait, no, 2021 is the year after Drew. We've fallen off by then. We were like 9-8 that year.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we're the Packers. I think you're wrong. I think the Bucks were a wild card that year.
Okay, let me look at the playoffs.
Or was that? That was 2020. You're right. That was 2020. Never mind. I'm getting my ears mixed up because of COVID. Never mind. You're good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's kind of robbery. I don't know, but again,
really.
I mean, a little bit, but it depends. Again, what the hell you care about, and that's kind of a random every year in the NFL. So who knows? So moving on to number 4, I got 2019 Lamar Jackson when he had the absolute ridiculous dual threat, best dual threat season since Mike Vick
since Cam Newton.
This was a lot better than Cam Newton, I'll tell you that much. So since Cam Vick or Michael Vick,
Cam Vick
mixing it. Anyways, 3,000 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, only 6 picks throwing, 1,200 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns. Like that's just ridiculous. That is, it's nuts, and especially in comparison to Cam's, more touchdowns, less picks, more rushing yards, and 3 less rushing touchdowns. Whereas Cam Newton was that end zone, red zone rushing kind of guy, where Lamar Jackson was running the ball in from midfield, things like that. So,
yeah. So number 4, I have 2015 Cam Newton. That's where Cam is on my list. 15-1 record. That team was a really good team. On defense, you had Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Josh Norman. But on offense, he didn't have a lot to work with. I mean, Olsen was a stud. Yeah, who do you have a receiver? You tell me.
You have Steve Smith,
Devin Funchess. Who?
Wasn't Steve Smith there that year?
No, 2015. Did he leave already? No.
He's already gone? Shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that was
2015, dude. Cam had no one. He was making guys superstars. In the backfield, you had Jonathan Stewart, who was good, but he was a little older.
He was in Baltimore.
Offensive line wasn't anything crazy. And he put up unbelievable numbers, 15-1. And Cam was everywhere in the media. And everyone wanted to be Cam back then.
And then it all
that's why I have him this high. He did not have a 15-1 team around him. That's, definitely.
I respect it.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind the take. I don't know. I'm definitely.
You just don't want to put him high because he's a Panther, but
I'm gonna get some hate, but I'm fine with it. I don't really care. I don't know. As a Saints fan, I guess that year I was very reluctant to like him, so it makes sense. There's probably a good amount of bias involved in that pick. Anyways, at number 3 on my list, 2020 Aaron Rodgers with 4,300 yards.
He's 3?
48 touchdowns, led the league that year. 5 picks and 3 rushing touchdowns. The 13-3 record. I don't know. To me, I know, Hammer, you're going to have him at 2 or 1. That's fair. Packers fan, you got to watch every single game.
He's at 1. That was unreal that year.
Yeah, but not as real as my number 1. But anyways, great season. 48 touchdowns, leading the league with only 5 picks. That's ridiculous. And like you said, Hammer, that is huge when it comes to scoring, which I was talking about, and you brought up. Yeah, you can't score when you're throwing a bunch of picks. So I like the take, but at number 3 for me, just because the 2 seasons above them are better. So
because they have more yards. All right, my number 3 is 2019. My number 3 is 2019 Lamar Jackson. Unbelievable year. What you have him 4? You have him at 4, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 4.
Yeah, so I get him at 3. This was definitely his better MVP year. Grayson talked about his numbers. His supporting cast probably wasn't as good as his this past season, but yeah, I mean, Grayson did all the talking, but he was awesome this year. 2019 rushing, passing, The amount of touchdowns he threw, the yards on the ground with the touchdowns he was capable of doing. Yeah.
I think it was the year that he had to play against the Bengals where he had like the spin move at midfield, made two guys miss. It was just ridiculous. Like that was played on repeat like the rest of the year. So guy was doing ungodly things on the field. At number 2, you got Patrick Mahomes' 2022 season coming in at 5,250 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks. He put the team on his back that season. It was the year after Tyreek left, if we think about that. Travis Kelce's obviously still there, right? That's good. Still had decent receivers, but Patrick Mahomes really took over and kind of, I mean, he's been doing it for what? Ever since his first year as a starter, he's been the guy. So we've seen it from him, but in 2022, 5,250 yards and just a great season all around. I'm not going to put anything above that with a 14-3 record too. I just think that was nuts.
Yeah, for me, I have that at 6. I already talked about it, but I just remember that year too. That was like Rodgers in 2021, where like it wasn't like he wasn't a runaway MVP, not like he was in 2018, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see it, but
he wasn't. Like I just remember that. But I mean, yeah, it was an awesome year. And after Tyreek Hill, that says a lot. That's why I have like 2020 Rodgers a little higher, just because of how it all played out.
So receiving wise, Juju and MVS were his 2 receivers, the top receivers, but neither of them had 1,000 yards. Mainly Kelce in there, and then he spread the ball around a lot. That's kind of why I like it a little bit too. But I do think that yards are a big factor, but a big reason there is like if it's the 5,000 yard mark, that's where it exceeds anything within 4,000. Like if there's only been like 10, I want to say like 10 5,000 yard seasons in the league ever. So if you're involved in one of those seasons, you bump up that list significantly for me. So that's why I value yards a lot, like you've been talking about this whole episode. So obviously there's only one guy left. Number 1, you got 2018 Patrick Mahomes, an absolutely ridiculous season. Sat under Alex Smith in 2017 for his first rookie season. Sat under him, played for 1 or 2 games, and then came in and lit the league on fire. I mean, he had 12-4 record, 5,097 yards, 50 touchdowns as a first-year starter, which is absolutely ridiculous. Led the league in that, 12 picks and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I don't want to talk too much about it because Hammer, you had the same guy, so I'll try to let you give like the analysis side. I'll give the numbers. You give what you think.
This is your number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you skipped me. He's my number 2. 2018 Mahomes is my number 2.
Oh, I thought you already did your number 2. Because I thought we would agree upon that.
No, I did Lamar.
You have Rodgers all the way up there.
2018, yeah. 2018 Mahomes number 2. I mean, to do what he did first year starting, he sits for a year, plays I think two games, maybe 1 game at the end of the year. Okay, this kid's got something. He gets the start in 2018. He goes out, throws 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, 12 picks, but 2 rushing touchdowns. He sets the league on fire. He's making all these crazy throws outside the pocket, sidearm, this and that, no look. Yeah, those lucky Chiefs fans that year, they're like, wow, we just got
we were blessed.
This guy. Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure it was the next year, maybe after this season or the next year after they signed him to that 10-year contract extension. And you're just like, wow, Chiefs are set up for life. Because like Jordan Love looked good this year, first year starting, but we've never seen a quarterback like first year starting look like that. That was unbelievable. So I'm number 2 on my list.
The worst thing about it, Hammer, was the Saints were gonna pick them, but the Chiefs jumped them and picked them with the spot before. So what could have been, Hammer? What could have been? Just rough.
Okay, so that's your number 1.
Yeah.
You want to talk about him?
No. You basically said everything I was gonna say. I wanted to let you talk because I was kind of doing like going
first. And then
first.
2018. They were the number 1 seed, I believe, and then they lost in the AFC chip to Brady. and that's the year 2018 or
Oh yeah,
2018,
2018,
and that's the year that
there was that weird
great
penalty call or whatever.
no, Patriots beat the Rams in the Super Bowl 13-3, and
Should have
this was
been.
also the year of the craziest, highest scoring game ever with the Rams and Chiefs.
Yeah, it should have been Chiefs Saints in the Super Bowl. Would have been awesome.
Should have, would have, could
Would have
have.
been awesome. Imagine that Super Bowl, but that's whatever. Can't
And
live
then
in Go ahead, Hammer.
you done talking about the past?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So number one for me, I got 2020. Aaron, I had to. I had to put him.
Yes. Aaron Rodgers, I love you.
2019, Matt LaFleur, his first year head coaching. Rodgers trying to get used to the new offense, this and that. He has a pretty good year. I think it's like 26 touchdowns, 5 picks. That's a decent year for Rodgers. That's a really good year for a lot of other quarterbacks. In the offseason, they draft Jordan Love, his replacement. And then this dude comes out, I think 36, 37 years old, and put up these numbers. And I know he had Devontae, but he had MVS, Tanyan, and Lazard. And he made these dudes look like studs. Where are these dudes now in the league? MVS, he's had, his moments with the Chiefs, high highs, low lows. Tanyan, where is he? You don't even know what team he's on. All right. And then Lazard. We all know how Lazard's, working for the Jets, and yikes, and they gave him a big contract. And you don't give a big contract like that to a third receiver who his specialty is blocking. But Rodgers put up these numbers with those guys. And I know he had Devontae too, but to do that after them drafting your replacement, saying you're too old, and he comes out and puts those numbers up. He wins 13 games. After this year, they give him an extension. Of course, he wins the back-to-back MVP the next year after, but that was like, whoa. Because it's like I haven't seen this Rodgers since 2016, 2014. And it was like, this guy's doing it at this age. It was crazy. It was unbelievable to see. It was a really fun year. That was COVID year, too. That was our senior year in high school. So that was like a pretty memorable time for me. Senior year, this and that. And your team's kicking butt. Rodgers playing at a high level. COVID, so it's a downtime for everyone, But to watch him every Sunday play at that level was just an experience that I'm pretty grateful for. So that's why he's number one for me.
Yeah, and one thing I did mention to Hammer before we recorded this that I think is a little bit wild is like, except for 2011 for Drew and Aaron Rodgers, and then Peyton Manning in 2013, you haven't seen performances get to those numbers since. I mean, except for maybe Patrick Mahomes is top 2.
But I'd say the 2 years
Aaron Rodgers as well.
But I'd say the 2 years of 2018 and 2020 Rodgers, 2018 to Mahomes and 2020 Rodgers. I mean, 2020 Rodgers.
Yeah, like those 3 are like the only 3 that have gotten really close to those numbers that we've seen.
Yeah,
and the crazy thing is, it's with a game added, so it's a little bit nuts that it's like,
but
we just haven't seen anything like it.
Grayson doesn't want to do it, but I'd put 2020 Rodgers in that 2011 Breeze and Rodgers conversation. I would.
See, I think
48 touchdowns and 5.
I said it's like a notch below, because it's not above it. It's not above it or
51 touchdowns, really, because you had 3 rushing. 51 touchdowns and 5 picks. I remember
how many he had rushing in 2011, but also Aaron Rodgers had the record for QB rating in 2011, and so he hasn't didn't break that in that year. So that's why it's like just a notch below, but it's right there. I agree. It's like right, almost at that level, as well as Patrick Mahomes' 2 performances. It's the best we've had in a long time, so might as well admire them while we're at it. Henry, you got anything else to say? I mean, we got the NBA draft tonight. I know you're not very invested in college hoops. I'm not very invested in college hoops. I know a couple names, but not much. But I'm just hoping the Thunder get a good player. So.
Yeah, hope the Heat go to work too. The Heat have been pretty good drafters too. Just the past couple of years in the range they're picking at 15. So they've gone like Bam, Hero, Jaime, Jaquez, all in that teens range over these past couple of years. So I'm pretty hopeful. But big day for the Heat today. Bam signs a 3-year extension, $166 million a year. Over 3 years, it's $55 million a year. And And what else? And Jimmy Butler says, stay in Miami. Teams are calling him saying, hey, let's trade for you. We're going to give you the max that you want. Nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay in Miami. So good day for me. Both of our guys, Bam and Jimmy, looks like they're going to stay in Miami for a while. So can't complain.
And then Thunder news. Alex Caruso got traded to the Thunder for
Big
Josh
time.
Giddey. So I'm excited for that. What if I said if we somehow got him on the podcast or any Thunder player for that matter, I would shave my head like Alex Caruso. Imagine that. It would never happen.
You heard him.
But I'll do it. I would do it. So
real quick though, read off your 10-1 list MVPs just so they can hear it again.
So number 10, we got 2023 Lamar Jackson. Number 9, 2015 Cam Newton. Number 8, 2017 Tom Brady. Number 7, 2016 Matt Ryan. Number 5, 2021 Aaron Rodgers. 4, 2019 Lamar Jackson. 3, 2020 Aaron Rodgers. 2, 2022 Patrick Mahomes. And number 1, 2018 Patrick Mahomes. What about you, Hammer?
So for me, 2023, Lamar Jackson at 10, 9, 2016, Matt Ryan, 8, 2014, Aaron Rodgers, 7, 2017, Tom Brady, 6, 22, Patrick Mahomes, 5, 21, Aaron Rodgers, 4, 2015, Cam Newton, 3, 2019, Lamar Jackson, 2, 2018, Patrick Mahomes, and number 1, 2020, A-Rod.
I respect it. Hammer, so that's going to do it for this episode. I think I will definitely say for like anyone out there that's watching, comment down below what you want us to do a video about. We're kind of getting to that season or part of the off season where it's like completely dead. So like
we've been in it.
But now it's like really into it. Now it's like
you just have a month left before training camp starts.
Yeah, like just under a month. Yeah, so it's like these next 3 weeks pretty slow. So if you guys have any ideas, you want to comment, anything like that, just let us know. And we'll be happy to include that in the next episode. And also, Ross Jackson, I reached out to him the other day. He said he'd be happy to come back on whenever. So we'll try to get him back on before training camp starts back up.
Sounds good. All right. With that being said, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Jenks Pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube at Jenks Podcast. If you're watching YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good week. We'll see you guys next one.